Hi there, it's time for some semiotic humor. Out of my way, guys, I need to use the bathroom. This isn't a bathroom, it's just a room filled with men. Some signs are surprisingly literal. We should stop our motor vehicles or bikes in the US when we see an octagonal red traffic sign. It doesn't mean anything else. An A on our term paper means superior work. The image of an envelope on an iPhone app means email. Other signs require deeper cultural awareness. The yellow ribbon has had several meanings throughout history, including remembrance, hope, forgiveness, a welcoming, a protest, and patriotism, depending on the era and the country. Today, the pink ribbon, due to publicity campaigns, is globally recognized for breast cancer awareness. But do you know what a lime green ribbon stands for? Our knowledge on how to interpret signs often comes from personal contexts and experience. So, with specialized information, we could recognize that the lime green ribbon signifies lymphoma. Let's review. We talked about the sign that is composed of a signifier and signified. That is thanks to Frederick de Saussure, a Austrian theorist in semiotics. We also learned of denotation and connotation, the literal and the figurative. And we learned the three types of signs: icon, index, and symbol, and those terms were coined by Charles Sanders Peirce of the United States about the same time that Saussure was working on his theory. We talked about troes or codes, and we talked about a very simple method of analysis, the TISA technique: effect, audience effect, symbolic meaning, and alternative meanings. Semiotics, then, is the theory of signs. It comes from the Greek semioticus, which means an interpreter of signs. Anything that's used for human communication is defined as a sign. Signing actually is vital to human existence because it underlies all forms of communication. Within semiotics, anything that is used for human communication is defined as a sign. That bears repeating. Here's a little visual graphic for us. The signifier, thumbs up, means typically okay, approval, go ahead, I'm in, etc. And together, the gesture and the comprehension of what it means constitutes a sign. We talked about the literal and the figurative or representative of the word or concept of heart. And we talked about the types of signs: the icon, which is when the image resembles or imitates the real. Even photos are iconic signs because they resemble the real. Let's take a look, though, at exactly how reliable icons are. Here is an early portrait of Columbus, Christopher Columbus. What did he look like to this creator? Well, he looked like this, but perhaps the creator has a perspective or a motive that differs from another artist. For example, another artist might depict Columbus like this. It's still an iconic representation, but there's some interpretation. Another artist like this. Yet another artist like this. And finally, one more. So you can see, we may have an icon, it may resemble the real, but it certainly doesn't suggest exactly what the real was or is. We then learned about the index, where the image has an assumed connection to the real. Wet streets are a sign that it recently rained. Smoke signifies fire. A nest image, as you see there, can be an icon of a nest, but also an index of a bird, because of course the bird built it. More indices is the plural, indices. Here we see lines on lips and hands that suggest the age of this performer. We see a gesture in another portrait of Columbus, suggesting that perhaps a call or voices guided him. Or perhaps signs in the skies guided him. That suggests indexical meaning. And finally, the symbol, where there is an arbitrary relationship between the signifier and the signified. So the one interpreting understands the symbol through previous knowledge and experience, through contexts and cultures. It must be learned and agreed upon within the society. Spoken and written words are symbols. The word cat could represent a tree if our previous experience established that. Here we have a symbol of Columbus implying what his voyages meant. Here we must have a deeper understanding of the context of Columbus's voyages and experiences to understand what the representation of the skull means. Symbols can be very powerful. Look a little closely here at the colorful image on the glass. What do you see? Many people at this car dealership in Clearwater, Florida, saw an outline of the Virgin Mary. And as you can see, they erected an altar and they held probably a mass. But if you can look very closely here on the right, as you can see, the image was destroyed by vandalism. Some symbols can evoke very strong responses. We don't know why this happened, but we know that it was prompted by, the experience that people were having with this illusion of a religious symbol on the glass. Just really briefly to review, tropes and codes are a common pattern, a theme or motif within a genre. For example, dark skies are often shown in war films, or a screaming face in horror films. Signs are everywhere. You're probably seeing them and wondering and deconstructing them now. What did you find? What did you think about? That was your assignment for this week, to use the TISA effect. We'll end this brief review now, and please go on to the second lecture.